Tales of the Empire seemed to promise a series centered around the successful oppression of the Empire. But I feel that with Barris Offee, they didn't fully deliver the story they should have. Some of you might recognize that Barris Offee played a character who was quite notable in the Clone Wars. However, personally to me, even though she had a moment that made some significant changes in the story, especially for Anakin and Ahsoka and indirectly the entire Jedi Order, she never really caught my interest as a character. Like, whenever I saw her on screen, I thought cool, and whenever she disappeared, I thought, okay, I can live without seeing more of her in Star Wars. So when we got the opportunity to see more of her story in Tales of the Empire, I was a little bit intrigued, knowing that I will get more about this character and hopefully maybe like her a little bit more, but I wasn't entirely convinced that this was the character that we should have been following in a limited series around Tales of the Empire. You see, similar to what I mentioned in my video earlier this week, personally I think that Tales of the Empire should have been all about the success of the Empire and really showcase itself as this one powerful oppressive entity that changed the galaxy forever. And what better way to do that than to show the Imperial assets, in this case the Inquisitors or the Imperial officers, win in fights against the remnants of the Jedi or the Rebellion. And this is where I think the second half of Tales of the Empire around Barriss Offee's story kind of fails to deliver. Now, I want to make it very clear that I think the character and the things she went through was actually really beautiful. Honestly, it was really well made. I have no problem with the actual story that we saw. However, my issue begins with the fact that we were given this story in Tales of the Empire. And given that it is a really small, limited series, where they only have 6 episodes to tell intriguing stories, I feel like they should have spent the 3 episodes in the second half around someone that doesn't decide to go on a character redemption arc, like we've seen many times in Star Wars already. I really think that the 4th episode of Tales of the Empire and half of the 5th episode did a really great job at showcasing the Inquisitors and their training program and what the new recruits had to go through in order to get their position next to the other Inquisitors. I do feel that Barriss' transition to becoming a fully on dark side individual came quite naturally, especially knowing that she's already touched upon the dark side, which we saw in the later seasons of the Clone Wars. So her being freed from prison and then joining the Inquisitors, and also destroying her friend in battle with a force choke, which was quite powerful, and then continue to remove her identity by adding a mask, it really just shows that she went from this young little Padawan to now having the potential to become an extremely powerful Inquisitor. Unfortunately, with the other half of the 5th episode and the 6th episode, they take an entirely different turn with Barriss, as they make her into this symbol of hope, a symbol that is against the oppressive nature of the Empire. And to contrast that, they have the 4th sister, also known as Lyn, who is there to be the dark side shadow to the light and hope of Barris Offee. And honestly, to me, that doesn't sound like the Tales of the Empire. That sounds like Tales of the Jedi. Her story went from being a Jedi to quickly being part of the Empire, and then later transitioning to becoming a Jedi again, or at least one who is more associated with the light side of the Force and doesn't condone the actions of the Empire, and most likely not the Sith either. One could obviously argue that the Tales of the Empire, from the Empire's perspective, was through the 4th sister. However, we all know that at the end of the day, they wanted to tell Barriss' story. But the episode ended not with the Empire winning. It ended with the 4th sister reflecting on the fact that she feels lost and forgotten under the banner of the Empire, and that she has no inherent value besides just being a machine to go around and destroy everyone else. Basically, a tool for the Empire. And sure, even though that might as well be true, I don't really think that all of that moral, ethical dilemma should have been in this series, at least not in a way that it was portrayed with these characters with the limited time that we had in Tales of the Empire. So to rectify this little situation with a fanfiction, I was thinking about a different approach for how they could have used Barris Offee in a way that still supports her original path, which we saw in the series, but with a little twist at the end, so to once again enforce the fact that this series should have been all about the success of the Empire. So this is my little alteration to the story. At the very last episode, after she's been recognized as the healer, I think that Darth Vader should have appeared and truly showcase his skills in lightsaber combat once again to defeat Barris Offee. Doing this, we would actually get some action with Darth Vader instead of him just being a promotional material for the trailer. So in order to fix that, we can have Darth Vader come to kill Barris Offee instead of the fourth sister. But to still add a little bit of touch of hope and light to this, their fight could actually have a more deeper meaning, because Vader can approach her and tell her that he recognizes her from their last fight during the Clone Wars era. And from there we can have some emotional manipulation going on, and we can have her trying to showcase her new skill as this healer in the Force, and she could possibly use some Force powers that we haven't seen before in Star Wars. There's generally a lot of opportunities here for them to have an engaging and meaningful fight at the very end. However, to ensure the success narrative of the Empire, Darth Vader will eventually destroy Barris Offee. And this, I think, would have been a much more fitting conclusion to this series. To me personally, that would have been perfect. And yes, I know I sound a little bit negative, but my point is not to try and be negative about the actual story. I'm just criticizing the fact that they took this story and added it to the Tales of the Empire series. I would have absolutely loved to watch this story around Barris Offee in, say, Tales of the Jedi Season 2, or any other possible Tales of series. If we look at the first 3 episodes concerning Morgan Elsbeth, which I think was done perfectly because it really focused on the darker elements of Star Wars and stuck to it, that is exactly the type of emotional narrative they should have followed with the 3 episodes in the second half of this series. I really enjoyed the story, but I don't think it was fitting for the Tales of the Empire. Now, I know a lot of people might disagree with me about this because I have seen a lot of great and positive things about these particular 3 episodes in and around the community. But that's completely fine because we are here to discuss Star Wars and share our various opinions on it, and hopefully we can foster good and insightful discussions around the topics that we enjoy or dislike. So with that, do let me know in the comment section below whether or not you agree with my point of view on these 3 episodes, or if you thought they fitted perfectly within this mini-series about the Tales of the Empire. And with that, never forget, the Force is always with you.